That's big business. Hit timber, that's big pimpin'. My potential, that's infinite. Pin game insane. Make hits like King Griffin, a 10th inning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 72 of the 10th Inning Podcast. I believe 72.
Right around there, Sean. I honestly, guys, even I've lost track at this point. We're gonna do what's called, in the spirit of center fielders, Sean. What's something you know about center fielders?
Speed. They have a lot of speed. They can cover a lot of ground.
There, Sean. I'm glad you picked up what I was putting down. I got an exam due, tonight at midnight, which requires an essay to be written. All right. It's 9 o'clock right now, 9:08. I have not started the essay. So a little bit of time crunch. I just had my graduation party on Sunday. Sounds odd, right? 'Cause I'm still in class. That's just how I do things. My item for today, Sean, is I am now the new promotions manager for the Long Island Ducks. It's not a physical item, but I'm also working every day now, so did not have a lot of time to do this test today. Listen, Sean, man of many, no, I wouldn't say talents. Many.
No, we'll say talents. We're going to say
I
talents.
can't say man of many, so I'm man of many. That's what I am.
Talents. Yeah.
Sean, thank you. I appreciate it.
All outfield positions are very interchangeable. There we go. So as we always say, it's tough. My list was totally different at first because I realized, this guy I think is playing more right field or left field this year. And that though can be said for any of the positions. So a lot of interchangeability. I don't think that's a word, but I'm going to use that one. And I'm excited to dive right on in.
As am I. It's a little brighter here. One thing I want to note before we start, Sean, MLB Network's number 10 center fielder, just to show how much movement there is in the position. Chas McCormick. Sean, I venture to say you might not even know who Chas McCormick is, because I basically didn't know who he was either. Houston Astros center fielder.
I do.
Good for you, man. I didn't even know who he was.
You made a hell of a catch in the World Series.
Okay. Did he make your list? Did he make your list? No. Okay, good. No. All right. Everyone had a heart scare there for a moment, I think.
Yeah. A little bit of delay.
Who did make your list, Sean?
Well, number 10, I got Mr. B. Reynolds, Brian Reynolds of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the powerhouse in Pittsburgh, the Double Ps, also referred to, or also the name for the pending physicals who are going to win the Dynasty League this year. Book it. Brian Reynolds, very much underrated guy because he plays in Pittsburgh and they pretty much suck. No, they don't pretty much. They do suck. Had a bit of a down year last year compared to the year before. Average drop from 302 down to 262, which is a considerable drop, and RBIs from 90 down to 62. I do like he is a solid, maybe a little less than solid defender, but center field, obviously that comes into play. So that probably hurt him a little bit. I said I like that. I misspoke. I can't speak today. But that hurt him a little bit. His offensive side is in my opinion, the best that he has to offer. He's fairly young, and the Pirates really need kind of some guys to keep to move forward, although I believe he requested a trade from the Pirates this offseason, and if he did, you can't blame him.
Yeah. Sean, is this the week? Do we have 10 through 1 the same? I'm on Brian Reynolds, number 10 as well. He even requested a trade, I think, last season, the deadline as well. Brian Reynolds wants to get the hell out of Pittsburgh, and I don't blame him. One thing I want to note, Sean, I think I noticed something there. I think you like Brian Reynolds, solid defender, because Brian Reynolds, solid defender, and then you look at the Fangraphs number and it doesn't say that.
Yeah.
The guy's been doing in every other year, Sean. I bet you look at the Fangraphs number from 2 years ago, he was a plus defender. So if you look at basically every other season, he's been good, not good, not great. Not great, obviously, is still equal to getting top 10 on our list, but not a 300 average, 370 OBP, 98th percentile for defensive percentile. Sean, I'm having trouble too. 98th percentile for outs above average in 2021, 2022, 6th percentile. So he went from one of the top defenders in the league from literally one of the worst. All right, guys. Here's the deal. I'm also doing a little bit of sickness. All right, so we're going with the old nurse's special. I got some pretzels. All right, you can't see them. And I got some ice water. Hopefully that figures it out. So I'm sorry.
Mrs. King would be proud.
She will be proud. My projections for Reynolds, Sean, just to give it quick: 24 homers, 280 average, 355 on base, 5 steals with average defense. Because I don't know what to project. Is he great? Is he terrible? Who knows? Brian Reynolds.
I like that. And he has a lot to offer offensively, and he has good and bad years every other year. He's like the San Francisco Giants of about 10 years ago.
Also, I guess just a quick note, not to harp on Brian Reynolds on the speedy episode, but his K rate did jump 5% last year.
Yeah.
And maybe like the K rate jumping and the defense being bad last year is like because he's unhappy and he doesn't want to play. Like it could be a lot of mental stuff. But the Pirates basically said they're not trading him. Like they don't want to trade him. So it's not like the mental stuff's going to get better. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Until they do trade him, I can't assume that it's going to be better, even if it was mental.
Yeah. And they have him under.
Yeah, they have him under. Why would they trade him?
Yeah.
Well, get assets that will actually be around when they're going to be competitive in 2065. But maybe the guy in your number 9 slot, Sean, will be competitive in 2062. Will he?
You say 2062?
I'm asking you a question, Sean. Will he?
Well, my number 9 is Dalton Varsho. So probably not.
No. My next guy's 11. So
okay, all right. He's a guy who played catcher last year. I think a little bit of third base too, or maybe second base. Played a little bit of everywhere, and he kind of really did well. I mean, average wise, only 235 last year, but he had some pop. 27 home runs, 74 ribeye steaks, K rate of 24.5. I'd like to see that come down a little bit. Walk rate, I'd like to see that go up. 7.8% is quite low. Defensively, though, however, he may have the highest defensive rating in Fangraphs I've ever seen, 16.4. That is fantastic, which is crazy to think about when he's not really a center fielder by trade. He's a catcher by trade. Started out at catcher last year and then quickly got moved to center field. And the Mets had played the Diamondbacks a couple times last year early on, and he looked a little skittish in center field. Obviously, he turned that around quickly because to get a rating like that, it takes a lot. You don't see guys like Francisco Lindor even getting close to that. So, real big upside for him. He's only 25 years old, and he's now on the Toronto Blue Jays. So, better team around him. He'll reap the benefits of that. And we'll see. There's another Toronto Blue Jay I ranked in my center field rankings later on. I realized when I did that it could be an issue, but I still went with it anyway because there has not been any announcement on which position either one of them are going to play. So I just ranked them both as center fielders, just an FYI.
Well, Sean, I too had the jumble up of is it going to be Springer or Varsho. I decided because Varsho played some right field last year, I put Varsho in right, Springer in center. I mean, Springer's a good defender in his own right. At this point, I'd probably put Varsho in center, so I think you'll probably end up being right on that. I rank Springer. I didn't do the 2 Blue Jays, so Varsho will be in my right field rankings. But I understand how that happened for you. But Sean, that does mean that yet again we will not have the same exact list. So I'm sorry. You tried.
Has yet to happen.
As yet. My number 9 though, Sean, is a guy by the name of Cedric Mullins. Don't know if you're familiar with the fella.
Eddie Mullins.
I think we saw the best of Cedric Mullins in 2021, Sean. I hate to say that because I'm a big fan of Cedric Mullins. I don't know if he's just that great anymore. I'm talking with the bat. The homers went from like 30 to 16, and everything said it was going to, and then it did, and it seems pretty stable there. His batting average also dipped. His on base also dipped. I think he's really a lot more relevant because of fantasy. I think he's still a great fantasy player because talking 30 stolen bases still, you don't see that a lot, with a decent offensive profile. But he's also a great defender as well. So he kind of checks off a lot of different boxes, but other than stealing, speed and defense, I don't think he's elite anywhere anymore. I have him projected for 17 home runs, a 260 average, a 320 on base. You'd really like to see that higher. 35 steals, though, and some pretty top-tier defense. But number 9 for Cedric Mullins. Not what he used to be, not a 30-30 guy, but certainly a good player.
I'll talk about him a little bit later, not too much farther down the line, but I will talk about him. Um, and I like your prognosis of Seti Moles. I really do.
Bridget your soul.
Absolutely. My number 8. Now I have a feeling that I ranked him a little bit low for some people. Is Byron Buxton, one of
Hey,
the
look.
most confusing players in all of sports because
Mm.
he's always injured, and when he's healthy, he shows flashes, and you say to yourself, that guy is good. He's got all the skills to be an all-world talent. However, he's only played more than 100 games once in his career, and he's been in the league since 2015. Remind you, we're in 2023 right now. He's
Yeah.
28, about to be 29, and he just can't stay on the field. He has the pop, he has the speed. The defense is outstanding. He's hit for an average, and obviously over a smaller sample size because he hasn't played enough to have a big sample size in the season. Um, his strikeouts are an issue. Last year it ballooned to 30%, which is just astronomical. That's Kyle Schwarber type range out there. Um, but he played a good defensive rating of 6.2, which is past. That's what it's been the past 2 years. So really no slippage there. A 4 WAR, nothing to be ashamed about. But is he going to stay healthy? And is he going to hit for a higher average? He only had 224 last year. Like I said, he's got all the tools. And if he could just stay healthy, I think the Twins and him will have an amazing season. But you're putting a lot on the line. He hasn't just signed an extension last year. So there's a lot riding on this season for him and the Twins. He's got to just put it together at some point.
I agree with your last statement, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. I don't like to project for injuries. I had to at least a little bit here, but he made it a little bit higher on my list. But I get where you're ranking him. Listen, he hasn't played 100
Yeah.
games since 2016 or some shit like that. So,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? My number 8, another guy who had a little bit of an injury concern, hasn't really played as many games, is Luis Robert. Kind of in the same position, not obviously as long as a career. What no one talks about, though, with Luis Robert, everyone's like he's the most hyped prospect when he was coming up. And don't get me wrong, he's very toolsy. I think he's very good. But the one season, if you look at his minor league track record, the one breakout season that got everyone crazy hype that he had in the minors was in 2019. Minor league baseball had juice balls, too. I mean, I feel like people forget that he had 32 home runs in 120 games or whatever. They had juice balls, too. And he hasn't really came back to that home run production at any other point. I've never been personally too high on him. A lot of people had him last year as a dark horse MVP. That being said, I'm not going to shit on the guy too much. If you take out the bookend months of April and September, which he played like a combined 22, 23 games, he basically hit 315, 350 last year as far as batting average on base. He showed that he got down his K rate, 30% in his cup of coffee in his first year, down to 19% last year. But he doesn't walk, Sean. He does not walk. 4% walk rate ain't going to cut it for me. However, he does check a lot of boxes. I don't think he's like elite tool in every category, but I think he's slightly above average in every category. And that's a really good player still. 25 home runs, a 280 average, a 335 on base, a 16 stolen bases, and worse, I give him a 2 defensive rating, which is above average, but not in the number 1 tier like a Mullins or some of the other center fielders that will be on this list. A lot of great defensive players on this list. So 2, frankly, is probably like the 3rd or 4th worst player on this list because of that.
Yeah. He just missed out. He's number 11 on my list. A guy, like you said, was hard to determine how much he was going to play and how much of an impact he was going to have, especially for him. The sample size is even smaller. He hasn't played, but he has the talent. And the White Sox, as a team last year, underperformed. So I expect a bounce back year from them in general across the board. We're down to number 7 now, right?
We are, Sean. Moving.
Number 7, I have Cedric Mullins. I'm buying the hype a little more than you, Dan, I guess.
Okay.
You actually turned me on to Cedric Mullins a couple years ago. I think in 2020, before he had the breakout. You'd been high on him. Not a shocker. Like you said, had a down year last year. In 2021, it was an anomaly of a season. He had 291. He'll never get anywhere close to that again. 6 WAR. But what has stayed consistent is defense. Actually, his defensive rating increased and improved from 2.5 to 3. So nice to see that improving. Also, the K rate didn't really change at all. It changed by 0.3%. It increased, but that doesn't matter too much. Walk rate decreased by a percentage point. Nothing crazy there. It's got a little pop, 16 home runs last year, which is quite a bit of a decrease from 2021 when he had 30. Like I said, 2021 was most likely an outlier of a season. Got speed though, 34 stolen bases, 64 RBIs, and is a good clubhouse guy. He seems to kind of be the new core, I guess. They're trying to turn around the Orioles. Obviously, last year the Orioles had a bit of a breakout year as a squad, and he was a big part of that. And I think that you kind of take the character aspect into it, and that improves the ranking for me at least, because I was between him and Buxton where they were going to rank, and I ended up flip-flopping them a couple times. But his ability to stay on the field also was another attractive point for me, because he the past years has played almost a full season, which is fantastic.
Yeah, he plays. He plays. That matters, and I like that ranking for you. I do. My number 7, Sean. I'll tell you, it's a lot of jazz. It's a lot of jazz. My number 7. He got a game in spring training. He's playing center field, Sean. He's out there in center. It's a lot of jazz. It's a lot of jazz. But you know what? I've been really low on Jazz for a long time. I mostly didn't like his attitude and everything. I thought he was crazy, overhyped, and overrated because the strikeout rate was so high, and it still is. But it's better than I thought. He really improved his on-base skills last year in a short sample, so we'll see if that sticks. But he's a lot, like I said, he's a lot better than I thought. He still strikes out way too much. If I knew Jazz was going to play great defense, I think he'd be closer to a guy like Michael Harris. We'll see where I have him ranked. But stat-wise, I mean, he's pretty much right there. 25 home runs is what I'm projecting. A 255 average, a 330 on base with 25 steals. Again, the defense is a question mark. I don't know. I mean, I know he's very athletic, so I'd be shocked if he was terrible. I don't think they'd let him play if he was terrible. But I mean, a 25-25 guy with average and on base that won't hurt you anymore. That's not bad. That's not too much jazz.
I like that out of you. I have him at my 6th spot, so we're close to the ranking there. Like you, I wasn't entirely buying the hype with him. I still don't necessarily see all of the hype, but I'm looking at his numbers. It's a small sample size. Obviously, he's one of the top prospects when he came up. Doesn't hit for that high of an average. Already had a major injury last year. Was it his Achilles? I can't remember exactly what it was. I feel like it's not the Achilles, but I digress. He's going to have to drop the strikeout rate. But his strikeout rate actually was lower than I thought it was, to be quite honest with you. 27% last year in 60-game sample size. Obviously, he could have went, either way, up or down, given more longer season. But we'll see what he does this year. I think this is a big year for him. If he has another year like he had his second year, I don't know if I will be ranking him this high next year. But if he builds off that and continues to improve his game all around, then I can easily see him moving up. And also the whole defensive aspect of it and moving to a new position makes it a little difficult to forecast that, as you had mentioned. But I think he's got all the talent in the world, and we'll see how the season goes for him.
He went with the Meniski, Sean. I too told him Meniski. And if he ends up anything like me, Sean, I'll tell you we ranked him a little too high.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he returns from that injury. Let's move on to my number 6. A guy that doesn't matter if he's had 8 meniscus, he's not playing anyway. Sean, I'm going to read you some numbers, all right? 28, 87, 39, 61, 92. You know what those numbers are?
I have no idea.
Games played by Byron Buxton the last 6 or 7 years. Okay, did any of them sound positive? No, they did not. I'm projecting 400 at bats for him. Usually when I project, let's say I see a guy last year had some injuries, or a prospect or a rookie, he had 300 at bats. I usually base it off of 500. So I'll go 500 divided by 300. That'll get me 1.2 something. And I'll times that, let's say by his home runs 14, I'll say he's on pace for a 20 homer season. That's how I project. But for Buxton, I project all 400 at bats because there's just no way in hell this man's going to get 500 at bats. It ain't going to happen. It just simply won't happen. His BABIP and on base percentage have been literally all over the place. I think his on base was like barely over 300 last year. His average was 220. There's been years his average is 290. There's been years his on base is 320. Like literally, it's all his BABIP was 240 last year. It was 300 the year before, 214 the year before that, 290 the year before that. Like everything is all over the place except his power has steadily increased. That's the only thing that's been projectable, and even that has been like changing. Might be the most difficult player to project in Major League Baseball, but he does have tools, so we'll project off that. 32 home runs, a 255 average, 325 on base, 7 steals. Again, Byron Buxton doesn't steal. I feel like I keep cheering this. Everyone thinks he steals. He doesn't. And some of the best defense in center field. He had 28 home runs in 92 games. So me saying he's going to hit 32 next year really doesn't mean much. I think he might play 100. I just I don't know what to do with Buxton, but like the upside, like you said, is he could be an MVP if he figured everything out. He's got every tool in the tool shed. So that's why he ends up at 6 for me.
Yeah, like you said, one of the toughest players to project in all the rankings of any position. So yeah, that's we'll see. We could be so off. And he could have, a monster year and play 150 games, or we could be correct. So I'm interested to see that. Getting to the top 5 now. Getting into the top 5, the big time. Well, some guy who had a big time year last year and made the show, Michael Harris II, came out of nowhere. Really, I'm looking at his minor league numbers. He didn't play in the minor leagues for very long. Really, his only full minor league season was in 2021, and he did quite well for single A. Mind you, he jumped from Double A straight to the majors, and I saw his first at bat. It was 3 pitches out of the strike zone and a strike 3. So can't go anywhere but up from there. But obviously he turned it around last year. Had 297 average in 114 games, 64 by stakes, 19 home runs, K rate of 24.3, which I think is pretty low for a rookie. Usually you see rookies struggle. Hopefully for his sake, he'll continue to drop that. Instead of increasing. I would like to see him walk more, had a 4.8 walk rate, which is about as low as you can see on Fangraphs. But like I said, with Buxton and some other people, he has the tools to be has all 5 tools, I guess you could say. He has 20 stolen bases last year. In the minor leagues, stole 27 in A-ball in 2021. So he has a speed. That was not an anomaly. Great defender, 6.7 defensive rating on Fangraphs, and had a 4.8 WAR in 114 games, like I said before, on base of 339. Really, there's no number in here that makes me feel uncomfortable putting him this high, except that he was a rookie last year. Maybe sophomore slump comes into play, but he did play 114 games. Pitchers adjust far earlier than 114 games into a season, so the book is out on him, and he obviously knew how to get around the ways they were trying to get him out. So another nice long-term contract signed with the Braves at a young age. And I expect him to just continue to take off and have a trajectory that is among those that could be one of the best players in all of baseball.
Yeah, Bravo seem like they like to bring up the kids after not a lot of time in the minor leagues. Vaughn Grissom, same thing. He went from, I think, high A or something like that. He had just hit Double A before they brought him up. I bought his cards last year. I remember selling them right after he got called up and was doing well. I was like, I'm not planning on selling his cards for years because I don't think they're going to call him up anytime soon. All of a sudden, he's probably their starting shortstop now. So
yeah.
Interesting to see that they do that, trust in their prospects and their development. I like Harris a lot. He's a little bit higher on my list, not too much. My number 5, Sean, is George Springer. Maybe we flip-flopped here. That's my guess, is we flip-flopped. We'll see. I think we have the same top 3. He had a relatively healthy year last year, which I feel like people don't realize. 133 games, relatively, we'll say. Another guy that's somewhat injury prone, but he had 500 at bats. Again, that's all I project anyway. So assuming top health next year, that's fantastic. I'm just going to assume he plays 130 games again. I would take that out of George Springer. And he stole some bases again too. He got 14 or 16 stolen bases last year, which he hadn't done in quite some time. And other than that, I mean, he's clutch. Everyone knows that. Probably is the most postseason home runs ever, right? Or at least World Series.
I think so.
He's a winner. He's a game or two. He plays hard. You know, he's a real passion for the game, and that matters. He's a great clubhouse guy. As much as I don't like him because he was an Astro. If I had to pick an Astro that I liked, it'd be him. Obviously, he's a Blue Jay now. But 27 home runs, 265 average, a 350 on base. He gets on base too, which I love. 12 stolen bases. You like to see that as well. With defense not as great as it used to be, pretty much average, but great leadership as well. He is my number 5 center fielder.
Yeah, he's my number 4 center fielder, George Springer. Really good intangibles that he has. He has the intangible, like you said, clubhouse. He's a born leader, plays his heart out. That's kind of led to some of the injuries he's had recently, which is, a bit ironic, but still is a very, very dependable player. He'll get you 260 to 270 average, maybe a little bit higher sometimes. He'll knock in around 70, 80 runs, hit you from anywhere from 20 to 25 home runs. I mean, he is a guy that, when healthy, which he has been aside from just 2021, pencil him in the lineup and you know what you're getting out of him. So Toronto has that, which is huge because they're a younger team for the most part, and he has been there. He's won a World Series. He's played in a lot of postseason games. Has done well in the postseason. Like I said, clubhouse leader, and just all around solid player. I'd say he has all 5 tools, but when you say a 5-tool player, their tools are used at the highest level. I'm saying he's probably like 75%, maybe 50% of those tools used. You know what I'm getting at here?
Yeah.
So he has all those tools, and he's able to really just be consistent, I guess, for lack of a better term. George Springer to me is the 4th outfielder, center fielder. And like I said, I have Dalton Varsho in there as well. So I also have that when I have shortstops with the Cardinals, I believe. So obviously I'm indecisive, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Springer is, like you said, he's just above average at everything, and that's phenomenal, by the way, to do that. Not just above, he's above average at everything. My number 4, like I said, we did flip-flop. I got Michael Harris. Like you mentioned, I don't love the strikeout to walk ratio. 24 to like 4 or 5% is not great. He needs to walk more. I guess, like you said, the 24 ain't terrible as a rookie. I'd love to see that closer to 20, maybe even under 20%, but the walk rate's got to come up. The BABIP was also definitely unsustainably high. It was like 360, 370. Big sample size, though, and he did do that in the minor leagues. So there's a little bit of a track record, so maybe it's more sustainable than I think. He also could be like a Tim Anderson type guy. He does swing the bat a lot. Similar profile to Tim Anderson. So no reason he couldn't be. We just haven't seen another guy like that in the league. But Michael Harris could definitely be that guy. He's more than talented enough. He actually plays pretty similar. I'm looking at his stats and like my projections. Tim Anderson, pretty speedy, pretty athletic. Low 20s homers, low 20 steals, good defense. Well, Tim Anderson not as good defense, but it doesn't really play into his profile. But average and on base in the same range. Anyway, 22 home runs, 275 average, 335 on base with 26 steals, and really, really great defense from Michael Harris. He is my number 4 center fielder.
Yeah, we're pretty much in agreement with him on how much we enjoy his watching him play and his skill set. So he could easily be a number 1 or 2 center fielder. Maybe not necessarily number 1, but 2 to 3 for sure. So, yeah. Speaking of number 3, my number 3 is the guy right behind me, Brandon Nimmo. I don't think he definitely didn't make my list last year. I think he made yours. He was like 10 or 9. He really proved himself last year, was healthy, which he hadn't really done in his major league career up until that point. Defense was a big question mark for him. He was a corner outfielder, mostly right field, and was an average right fielder at best. Mets signed Starling Marte. Everybody assumes he's going to be center fielder. Nope. Buck puts Brandon Nimmo in center field. Everybody's saying what's going on, and Brandon Nimmo is one of the best center fielders defensively in baseball last year. Looked completely different from years past. Also, I think it helped him offensively. He was pretty on par for his offensive numbers. If you look at it on paper, 274 average, walked 10% of the time. Strikeout rate actually dropped quite a bit, or 3%. But he looks comfortable up at the plate. He is about as tough of an out as it comes in baseball. Even if he strikes out, he makes you earn the strikeout, which is a guy who's great for a leadoff hitter. He'll wear the pitcher down. He's got the energy of a 10-year-old out there in the field, which you love to see. Walks, gets hit by a pitch, he'll run to first as fast as he can. And he's a great clubhouse guy, positive guy. The character is just phenomenal on him. And his game is only improving. He's only 29 years old, and he just signed a nice contract. So I expect him to continue to improve. The health, hopefully it continues that way. You don't want to see a setback, but he plays a game much like George Springer, leaves it all out in the field, and you know what you're getting from him every day in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a shot we have a top three similar. This was a pretty, to me, clear-ish cut top three. Harris was close, so was Springer, but pretty clear top three. Sean, I feel like a lot of Mets we have on the podcast. I have this note written down for Sean. You know what the note I have written for Brandon Nimmo? What my notes say?
He's a Met.
He's a ball player, Sean.
Oh, okay, all right.
Ball player. He plays baseball, Sean. A lot of these guys are playing baseball, Sean. I'll tell you, there's a lot of Major League Baseball players, Sean. They're not really playing baseball. They're just hitting the ball. This guy's playing baseball. I think last year was really projectable for him. So my projections are fairly similar. 15 homers, 275 average, 370 on base, 5 steals, and phenomenal defense. Love the leadership as well. Clubhouse guy, the whole thing. One thing I'm questioning, Sean, is this a guy I'm thinking, is he going to get more bags this year? He doesn't really steal much. But you look at his speed, 83rd, 84th percentile is fast.
Yeah.
Is it just he's not comfortable stealing? Does he not get good jumps? You know, stealing is an art as well. It's not all speed. But why is it?
Well, he has the speed, like you said. I don't think he's comfortable stealing. Okay. The broadcasters always say he's got the speed to steal 15 bags a year. I hope he does this year with the bases and all that. But he would never even get competitive leads from first base. That was one of the things that was a little annoying about him, especially being a leadoff hitter. But he has the speed. Hopefully he'll use it. But yeah, you're right on that one.
Because this is the kind of guy that, hey, maybe this piques interest. Maybe this makes him feel more comfortable. He could go from like 0 to 5 to like 20, 15, 20 bags out of nowhere. And how much more would that increase his game, even fantasy wise, is tremendous. So definitely a tool he has. Is just whether he wants to utilize it. So that'll be interesting this year. Number 2, Sean, who you going with?
Number 2, I'm going J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. Talk about a guy who wasn't on the list last year, at least for me. Maybe it was for you. I don't remember. Wouldn't surprise me if he was.
I talked about him, but I didn't do it. I should have done it. Sean.
You would have looked like a genius. I mean, you couldn't have a better rookie season than he had last year. He hit, he defended, he stole bags, had some power. I mean, helped lead the Mariners to the playoffs for the first time in, I think, 21 years. Yep. Which is just crazy, and that's good for him, good for the city of Seattle. I really don't have too much bad things to say on base percentage, 345. I think he hit 284 last year, but I think that could be a low range for him. I think he can easily go up. Like I said, Michael Harris is a rookie and played basically a full season and was able to adjust as pitchers made adjustments to him. One thing I would like to see is the K rate to drop. He was at about 26% last year. It's a little high, but a rookie learning the ropes, you'd like to see that come down. Along with that, you want the walk rate to increase as well. The walk rate was pretty low at 7.1%. But those are the things you work on as you get more comfortable and get your footing in the Major League Baseball. When you first come up, you're just trying to prove yourself. So those are things that a major leaguer who's good as a star makes the adjustments on. And I fully expect him to improve on that. This sky is the limit for Julio Rodriguez. It really is.
Yeah. I love J-Rod, especially when I rank my players. I try and be a little bit conservative. I can be a little crazy with him. There's a lot of hype on J-Rod, though. I wouldn't say he's overhyped, but he's close to being overhyped. Just because now everyone's like, oh, J-Rod, man, he's going to take a huge leap. No, this guy had like a phenomenal rookie year. Let's not say he's going to take a huge leap. I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying the media, it's like he can't do a ton better than he just did. And maybe he can. Maybe he's going to prove me wrong. I hope he does for my fantasy purposes. The one thing I didn't like that I saw, Sean, is he stopped stealing in the second half. He had like 25 bags in the first half and then just stopped all of a sudden. Everyone else just caught up and passed him when you're looking at stolen base charts. We had some bets like I think throughout the year I was like, who's going to be the leader in stolen base? After this week, and 3 weeks ago it was J-Rod, and then all of a sudden he just stopped stealing bases. So that's a little bit concerning to me. I'm afraid that the Mariners might be afraid to let him run, especially after the big contract they were signing with them. We've also seen this a lot with rookie performances. So think about Mike Trout, 49, 50 bags in that first 130 games, and then he's had like one, maybe two 30 stolen base season after that. But a lot of times rookies never steal more than they do in their rookie season. It's like a thing that happens, especially with elite talent. People like the Trouts or the J-Rods of the world. Maybe we might even talk about this Trout guy coming up soon.
Maybe.
But they're like, teams are like, it's not worth it for you to steal. We could use your speed in other ways, defensively, first to third, first to home. But like J-Rod getting injured on a stolen base attempt might just not be worth it for them to get him to second base. I don't have him improving too much, all that being said, but that's still phenomenal. 28 home runs, 275 average, 340 on base, 22 steals, and great defense. And honestly, I think it's phenomenal leadership. I think he's already basically the leader in that clubhouse. One of the things we talked about last year when I even spoke about him on the podcast is how much of a good person he is and how much that really matters to me in prospects. You watch any interview with this kid, he just gets it. He gets it. He's a ball player and he's elite at the same time. Very rare combination. I love J-Rod. I love him. And I have him at 275 average, Sean, but I don't disagree with you that he could hit 290, 300 next year, and I wouldn't be shocked. Just trying to be a little conservative on my end because he is my player. Sean, are we playing the say the name at the same time game?
Yeah.
Our number one center fielder for 2023 is Mike Trout. Guys, he's still Mike Trout. That's what he is, Sean. He is
Don't
Mike
forget about him.
Trout. Please stop saying he's not Mike Trout because he's Mike Trout. You have anything to say about Mike Trout, Sean?
The numbers are just astonishing. He only played 119 games last year, but still had 40 bombs and 80 RBIs. With an on-base percentage of 369. I mean, the guy is as consistent as they come. Like you said before, when he used to steal bags at a clip back in the day. Now he's gotten away from that, but still has the speed. His defense has gotten a little bit worse, but still above average. There's no really holes in his game. I will say this: his strikeout rate has increased over the past
2 seasons,
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
It is now approaching close to 30%, which is a lot higher than I thought because I never really thought of him as a huge strikeout guy. But with the increase in strikeouts, the increase in home runs has gone up as well. It's just when you look at his rookie year in 2012. I mean, I don't think we appreciated quite how good that was. And then his next every season after. He's a quiet superstar that just gets forgotten about because he plays for a team that isn't great, and he's also a quiet guy. And we need to get him in the postseason. That has to happen. I don't care if baseball fixes it just to get him in there. He's the complete player. The only downside to him is he's a Philadelphia Eagle fan, but not everybody's perfect, I guess.
The only thing I want from Trout, Sean, is to play a full healthy season and make a playoff run. That's it. The health's been, lingering a little bit with this back issue. It's chronic, so it's not going away.
No.
So, I mean, I feel like 120, 130 games might be what you get. But I'll tell you, I'll take 120 to 130 games of Trout over almost any other full season in the major leagues. That's just how it is with Trouty. The only two issues I saw, one is what you pointed out. His expected batting average was below 290 for the first time in his entire career, and it was 265, which was kind of interesting. Keep an eye on that. Maybe his average comes down a little bit. I do have it dropping a tad. Under 280 for the first time in his career is what I have it dropping under. And the strikeout rate, 28%. Strikeout rate was 28% last year. And that's 2 seasons in a row where it's been 27 and 28. So it's a decent enough sample size now. Like you said, it's come with more power, but I don't know. I don't want to see the fall of Trouty. 27, 28, we're getting that's a lot.
That is a lot.
My projections, though, 42 home runs, 277 average, 375 on base, 5 steals, and above average defense. I love Mike Trout. Thank you.
Yeah. How could you not? You can't not love Mike Trout.
Maybe we can find someone we can not love, Sean. But before we do that, let me get you guys 2 things. First off, the not fan tracks. My mind's in 2 places. The Fangraphs top 10 projected, Sean, and the fantasy top 10. Fangraphs thinks Aaron Judge is a center fielder. Obviously, we have Harrison Bader. Me and Sean both did not rank Aaron Judge as a center fielder. I think correctly so. But they have Aaron Judge 1, Mike Trout 2, J-Rod 3, Brandon Nimmo 4. So technically, our 1, 2, 3s, me, you, and Fangraphs are all the same. George Springer 5, Michael Harris 6. Sean, did you just take Fangraphs rankings here, or are you just the greatest?
No, I did not actually just take the rankings.
I mean, I'm right there too. Luis Roberts 7, Ryan Reynolds 8, Byron Buxton 9, and Dalton Varsho is sitting at 10. They also couldn't decide who was the center fielder of the Toronto Blue Jays, so good on Fangraphs. And for fantasy purposes, folks, I got Trouty 1, J-Rod 2, Michael Harris 3, George Springer 4, and Buxton 5. Yes, I left Nimmo out of my fantasy. I think it's a little different fantasy. I don't know. He gets a lot on base. He doesn't hit a lot of home runs. If you're in a home run dependent league, it's hard for Brandon Nimmo. And he doesn't steal either. Kind of the 2 big categories in fantasy, home runs and steals. He doesn't get a lot of. We're talking baseball player, defense, average on base, top 3. For fantasy, I'd rather take the upside that Buxton's going to hit 50 homers this year in a full season. That's just where I sit with that. But no slight to Nimmo there. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Because I'm looking through my list here. My 11 and 12. I know you said your 11 was Luis Robert.
Yeah.
Is he your only just miss, or did you have one other guy you wanted to?
He was the one that really stuck out the most. I had others, but I didn't necessarily write them down.
There's 2 guys I just wanted to gloss over. The first guy was number 11. I tried to get a prospect on this list, Sean. I tried to. It's Sal Frelick of the Milwaukee Brewers. It seems like they're going to go with Garrett Mitchell, as their center fielder to start. But I think they're both vying for the job because Frelick's in spring. Frelick, another Stephen Kwan type guy, high average, low power. If he wins the starting center fielder job in Milwaukee, hot take, Sal Frelick wins Rookie of the Year in the National League. My projections for a full season for him, yes, these will be crazy numbers, so ignore me. 12 homers, 290 average, 350 on base, and 25 steals. I like Frelick. He's a fun player. I think he's got the full package. I know it's crazy, Sean. I know I like the young children. What do you want me to do? My other hot take mention is Jose Siri. Hot take has an all-star season this year. Jose Siri. Homer in the World Series. Homer in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Big homer. Great defender, too. He's not too. I mean, he was shit last year offensively, but I think he can get to 250 with a 320 on base, 25 steals, amazing defense, and if he gets homers above 10, that's a fun little season. He gets a hot start, doesn't finish top 10, but he gets an all-star nod for those 10 big days. Yeah. My hot take on Jose Siri. You like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Sal Frelick, number 2 center fielder in baseball. That's what I should have did. Everyone likes the number 2. Vinny P. First at bat in spring. What did Vinny P fucking do, man? He went yik yak. So yik yak paddywhack, give all your dogs a bone. So keep talking, people. And Vinny P wins MVP this year. Oh man, I can see it now. I'm gonna do such a compilation. I'm gonna take all the comments, all the score, all the DMs I got, and just put it in the arms of an angel. And just I mean, you guys are gonna regret the day you doubted me and Vinny P.
It's never gonna happen, but stop.
Lengthy one. I like the lengthy one. Rene Gonzalez, Sean. How are you related to him?
Rene Gonzalez. I'm typing him in right now. Rene.
He was 6'3", 195.
How do you spell his name? Sorry.
Rene Gonzalez.
Okay. Oh, he didn't come up when I looked him up, so I got put in baseball.
Wow. I like those guys though.
Yeah.
He was born in Austin, Texas, Sean. Played for the Orioles, Blue Jays, and Angels at this point in his career. This is his 1992 card. Usually they have some fun facts. No fun facts on Rene, but I'm sure Sean will get some information for us momentarily. It looks like what oh, it looks like he might be still on the base. Did he have some speed here? Not much speed. Not much anything, Sean. I'll tell you, not a homer.
I will say he played for 13 years. Looks like a utility guy, but he got a couple seasons where he played over 100 games.
92.
Did not have a
that.
lot of fun.
No, but congratulations, Rene. 13-year MLB career now.
Yeah, not bad.
Now, I do have some news, okay?
Okay.
I have some movement on Rafael Valdez, okay? Now, it's not much movement. All I know is that was a Scott Boras client, which Sean means that he's part of 97% of Major League Baseball since 1955.
Yeah.
But I'm going to call Scott Boras, okay? And I'm going to say,
We need a video of that.
you get me in touch with Rafael Valdez, okay? Because I got an interview for him. And I'll give you a cut, Scott. I'll give you a cut.
So buy the hats, guys.
Yeah. Anything else on Rene? Any personal Wikipedia?
No? let me go to his Wikipedia page.
Hopefully we find something nice about him.
Yeah. We'll see. I will say those Angels uniforms of the 80s are really nice.
I do like the Angels 80s.
There's quite literally nothing on him on Wikipedia other than a nice picture.
Sean, well, I'll say something nice. Then I have 2 shout outs that are quick. Lorenzo Cain, man. I miss you, brother.
Yeah.
And seems like it's over. Seems like that ride is over. But I love Lorenzo Cain. Love Lo Cain for life. He actually made my list last year, which was probably ridiculous looking back on.
His background last year.
Was he? Yeah, that's a tough look, Sean. That is a tough look. But I do love Lorenzo Cain. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not embarrassed about loving him. He deserves love.
Yeah. Love is love.
And we'll end it on this positive note. I don't know who needs to hear this, guys, but Dylan Carlson sucks. I don't know why people think Dylan Carlson is going to be good. He's never been good. He sucks, man. You and your fam.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. People say
Dylan
Carlson, man. He sucks. Cardinals prospects, I'm telling you, they're not that great. Name the last Cardinals prospect that panned out. I don't know, man.
I mean,
Oscar Barris, dead. And I know
this is a positive note. You're attacking the second biggest, most rabid baseball fan base out there behind the Yankees.
I know. I just Jack Flaherty injured. Nolan Gorman's not good.
Tommy Edman.
Something they've been trying to be good for years. He's not. What do you say?
Tommy Edman.
Tommy Edman was I guess he was a pro. Yeah, Tommy Edman's fine. Tommy Edman's good.
What about Alan Craig? Matt Carpenter. Let's go back a little bit.
Alan Craig. Yeah, Alan Craig was good for 2 years, man. That was it.
There's a
Carpenter.
video online about how he fell off like just dramatically. He was like an all-star, ready to be like a star, and then just lost it.
It's the Cardinals. I'm not a fan of the Cardinals.
I will say this: the Cardinals, they have a lot of persona allure around them, like the Yankees do. They
Yeah.
haven't been that good since 2013 when they lost to the Red Sox. Their last World Series was 2011. People talk about the Yankees not winning for a while. That's a long time for the Cardinals because the Cardinals are the Yankees of the National League.
Right.
That's a long time, and they still like to hold that up there. But they really have. They made the playoffs last year and got bounced by a team that won like 86 games. Given the Phillies went to the World Series, but nonetheless, I'm feeling like they're just they don't have that when we were little. Not to go on a tangent, the Cardinals were like they were always good. They had Pujols, they had Yachty. Obviously, Yachty retired, but they were always in the mix. They really they haven't been. They've been in the mix, but they haven't been like title contenders. You never look at them and say, "Yep, they could win the World Series." You don't. You don't say that.
They could win the NL Central. Who my mother and 3 of her friends could win the NL Central these days.
Yeah.
Albert Pujols, by the way, is the answer to your question. The last prospect that worked out for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yachty.
Yeah, Yachty. Sure. I don't know who came up first, to be honest with you.
I think Albert.
Definitely Albert, yeah. But thanks for tuning in and watching, guys. We have
Sorry,
one. Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. And Oscar Tavares, you and your family. I'm praying for you. I'm Sean. I was trying to be serious, Sean. I'm sorry. I know that wasn't nice to call him out like that because he's not here with us. But he would have been good. He would have been good. Cardinals win the World Series if he doesn't die. And I'm not putting that on.
Now you're making him feel worse again.
I'm just saying, like, right field's next week, guys. It's the last outfield position, last offensive position. After that, we got pitching. Spring training's up and going. It's a good time. Get out there, watch the spring training games, see who's going to make your roster. Baseball's back. Baseball's alive. Sean, let them know anything you got to let them know.
Well, folks, like and subscribe on YouTube. Like the comments, or excuse me, like our posts and comment. We've been much more active in our stories. We had a post this week about Machado signing that huge deal. Padres are a big market team. They identify as a big market team.
Correct, yeah.
Frankly, I saw a video this week where they actually talked about that same thing we said. So I feel like,
oh, really?
Yeah, like the Padres refuse to believe what's true.
Yeah, that's what they identify as. Sean.
Anyway, and the polls we post online, like we posted one the other day about obviously the positional rankings. I think Dan won that one.
Did I get my first win?
A little upset, a little butthurt, but
It was like 53-47. It was a tight one to the end.
Yeah. And also put a little poll about what you guys think of the rules so far. And we've gotten some comments from you guys. So we love that. Please continue to leave the comments, and we will do our best to get back to them, respond, and maybe if you really want, we can maybe get you on the pod.
Oh yeah.
So just interact with us. We're friendly. We don't bite.
Well, I occasionally bite, actually.
Yeah.
Interact with Sean, and we'll see you next week for Right Field Rankings. Thanks for tuning in.